And the crazy headline this week, I'm just going to give you one from the Telegraph, the Daily Telegraph in the UK. Elizabeth I will be transgender in ITV drama. The ITV series, far from being a historical account, will be a reimagining of the monarch's life. Hello, my name is Anne McElhinney.
And I am Phelim McAleer.
And welcome to the Anne and Phelim Scoop.
Yes.
We've just had the Easter weekend.
Yes.
The birthday boy weekend. Phelim
Yes.
had a big birthday. No, Phelim didn't have a big birthday. Phelim had a birthday.
I would disagree with you. I would call it a big birthday, and I want to thank my wife for organising a really perfect birthday weekend. In fact, it's wrong to call it a birthday weekend. It was a
festival.
It was a birthday long weekend.
Yes.
Did it start on Thursday?
I'm nearly not fit to do anything after it.
I know.
And I think I have to say that I shout out to anyone who does surprises for anybody ever. It's a nightmare. If you're not used to lying and you suddenly have to do all this lying, it's very challenging.
I want it officially on the record.
Okay.
No more surprises at birthdays. No more surprise dinners. No more surprise anything. I'm happy to.
I bet you'll change your mind about that.
No.
Okay. Well, we have big news, Phelim. I think we'll move directly on from
I just want to thank
birthday.
my wife for organising.
Well, thank you.
My birthday weekend. It was very, very nice, very special. More of that, please. Less surprises, more of that. And everyone should have a birthday every day, I think.
Yes. Well, I wouldn't be fit for it. I can tell you that. Okay. So, but we have some very big news.
Yes.
That kind of developed. Well, how do you want to express this, Phelim?
Well, we thought the big news today was going to be the announcement that the October 7 play is coming to Ireland. It was all set up for the National Concert Hall on May the 11th. Staged reading, just like the Kennedy Centre, just like all the campus performances. It has not been without its issues. The National Concert Hall initially cancelled the booking because it was an Israeli event. They said it was because it was a fundraiser for the Israeli ambulance service.
So ambulances apparently now are political, Phelim. Is that correct?
Yes, especially this is the Israeli ambulance service, which I didn't know is mostly voluntary.
Yes, and is actually, I think, affiliated with the Red Cross,
yes.
I believe. Yeah.
And the Red Crescent and the Irish Red Cross. So, and they claim it's political and they don't do political events, blah, 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 blah.
Because we're doing this event with MDA, which is Magan David Adam, which is the charity wing, if you like, of this.
Yeah, they're hosting the event
ambulance.
and really the October 7 play is part of their charity event. You know, we're being incorporated into their.
And we're very lucky that the head of the Magdan David Adam in Ireland is Alan Shatter, who is a lawyer, by the way, and previously a minister in a government, many governments away. So he actually, I think got him back in touch with the NCH and said to them, "Hang on now,
yes,
let's have a deep dive into what you're calling a political event and what exactly is it? Why are you cancelling on us?"
Yes.
So they had to then do a quick reverse.
Yeah, they went all the way up to the board of the National Concert Hall, and according to media reports, and we know nothing about this, it even went as far as a government minister for culture, because the National Concert Hall is 100% funded by the government, because you can't have an artistic place in Ireland without government funding, apparently. Mm-hmm. And that's why Irish art is so bad. But anyway, I digress.
They admitted that there had been a big misunderstanding, and then the booking went ahead.
Yes.
Flash forward a few more days.
So far, so good. So last week we wrote to some supporters, and you probably may have got the email yourself, letting them know the play was happening and
asking for support. By the way,
asking for support. That email was then leaked to a reporter at the Sunday Independent, Ireland's largest selling newspaper, and she ran a report that the October 7 play was part of this event. The National Concert Hall had always been told, I believe, that there was going to be readings from people who'd survived
and testimony,
and testimony from Israel's darkest day. They're now, I think they're considering all aspects of the book.
They're reviewing again, so they're reviewing their review.
Reviewing the review of the review, actually, because I think this is about the third review, because they accepted it, reviewed it, and rejected it. Then reviewed their review and accepted it, and now they're reviewing the review of the review. The
whole thing is bizarre, by the way, because this is pure journalism. There's no politics in this at all. This is pure journalism. We went to Israel after October 7th, 2023. Went all over the country, interviewed people, asked them, just tell us what happened to you on October 6th. And then can you tell us the story from October 6th through to October 7th, what happened to you? Some of the stories are connected. Some of them are just isolated where people were alone. Some people, just extraordinary stories, and they're really, really powerful. And we didn't edit them. It's a very unfiltered account of what happened. And I think that makes it really, really powerful.
Yeah, I mean,
and we were very conscious not to change what people said.
Yes.
Because some people, let's say, that have, been looking at the script over the years since that we've been producing it. We've had people who said, I think we should tone that down. I think we should change that. And we're like, you can't do that. This is somebody who trusted us to tell the story. And they were telling us this story literally days after they had maybe lost, in one case, a child. In actually more than one case, a child, actually. Yes. I'm just thinking of the Russian man. And so these people trusted us with their stories. So the idea that we would alter them, tone them down, or rephrase them is just nonsense.
When we were told we should bring in a journalist character for context or have a composite character, there's no composite characters. And by the way, no fake context. There's no editorial voice, no editorializing. It's just the voices of people who lived through Israel's darkest days. It's actually a historic document. It's about a historic day.
And it's amazing. And it's incredible every time we watch it, every time we see it. And these actors that have done it everywhere. Here in Los Angeles, at Princeton, in New York for 6 weeks, at Bowdoin. And each one, and then at the Kennedy Center. I mean, at each one of those, it's just been extremely powerful. And you can hear the nuance. Each character, of course, is a real person. And so they talk differently than another person. It's amazing. It's amazing. And we're really, really excited about bringing it to Ireland.
So that's what the National Concert Hall is reconsidering. By the way, by the time
you see this, there could be more news.
Yes. So this could be all thrown out and re-recorded, because Ireland is just so unpredictable.
We will keep you posted. And obviously this is an expensive ordeal. Ordeal. I shouldn't call it an ordeal. This is an expensive operation. So anyone who would like to support us, please do so. We are a 501c3. We have a generous donor who's matching everything. So please do donate. But I think we thought then for today, we kind of thought after the Easter weekend and everything, and because this all happened in the last few days, we thought that we would what's happened to us with trying to stage the play in Ireland didn't happen in isolation.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Ireland has distinguished itself in a really awful way by becoming, and kind of well known now, everywhere, as being like the most anti-Semitic country in the world, probably.
So is Ireland a cold house for Jews? As we said in the letter, Ireland has this reputation for being the most anti-Semitic country in Europe, which is a competitive field, by the way. Mm-hmm. So, and as we said in the letter, rightly or wrongly, it has that reputation. And that was a question. It was a journalistic question, not a political statement. But so let's examine
the record. Let's have a look at the record. Yeah.
Look, I'm sure there are many other examples of this, but the thing that's always struck me is James Joyce, the great Irish author, the greatest Irish author, I believe. Like all great authors, like Shakespeare, he knew everything.
Yes.
There's a story in his group of short stories. I think it's a painful case, and I swear to God, you could read it now, and it's like you're reading about Dublin of today. There's some lines in it, and you go, I saw that the other day in Dublin. So he just knows everything. You can go and read about it, and Joyce, and you'll see modern day life reflected.
So what did he do when he was writing the great classic that everyone has to read at some stage in their lives, Ulysses? He wanted to have a character who was sort of alienated from the world Ireland. And from Ireland, particularly alienated from Ireland. Yeah. And who did he choose to be that person? Leopold Bloom.
A Jew, Hungarian Jew. This is the person he chose. Stephen Dedalus, who was alienated from Ireland because he wasn't part of the nationalist wave. But then the main character, Dedalus, in some ways, a secondary character in Ulysses. Leopold Bloom is the main character, and he is a Jew that suffers the vilest anti-Semitism in 1904 Dublin. Like, how did James Joyce know that anti-Semitism existed? Maybe it was cooler then, but we grew up in Ireland. We didn't know anti-Semitism exists. Boy, do we know it now. Then, don't forget the pogrom in Limerick. Mm-hmm. So So yeah, Joyce did that. I think Ulysses came out in the 20s or whatever. But don't forget, there was the pogrom in Limerick. Now, it wasn't like an Eastern European pogrom. No one was killed, but there was it was started by a priest in Limerick. There were economic boycotts. There was intimidation. There were assaults. Windows were smashed by stones on Jewish businesses.
So the story that probably gets quite a bit of coverage, but if you haven't heard it, you wait for it, is about the President of Ireland, President Eamon de Valera. By the way, much loved, much revered, much celebrated, continues to be sort of like really revered character.
Can I just say, like,
what did he do on the 2nd of May in 1945?
I tell this story to people, and they actually don't believe it, right? It's not often you tell someone something and their jaw, that thing, it's like a cliche, but
that's right, the jaw drops.
The jaw drops because they do not believe it. So tell
May the 2nd, some of you immediately will recognise the date, but anyway, May the 2nd, 1945, Eamon de Valera, the President of Ireland, called on the German ambassador, Edward Hempel, in person
in Dublin
to offer condolences on Hitler's death. De Valera, apparently, this is what happened. Had in the morning.
Can I just explain? So he was offering because he is the president of Ireland and the president of Germany had died. So protocol would dictate that he would offer condolences on the death of another head of state.
So he spoke apparently to the Dáil, to the Irish government in the morning, and then travelled over to Hempel's private home to express his condolences on the death of Herr Hitler, who had died by suicide, as many of you know, in his Berlin bunker 2 days previously. Both the Secretary General of External Affairs and his deputy tried to deter de Valera and warned of the consequences to Ireland's reputation. So this made Ireland, by the way, this is important, this made Ireland the only Western European democracy to offer condolences for Hitler's passing. So, we have been distinguishing ourselves for this kind of, for anti-Semitism for quite a while.
Can I just add a little history? If you go and Google this now, you'll often see people say he went and signed the Book of Condolences. He didn't officially sign. He didn't sign a Book of Condolences because there was no book in the legation, in the embassy there at the time. However, the story got out that he signed the Book of Condolences, and De Valera told his officials not to contradict anyone who said that he signed the Book of Condolences. He wanted it out there that he offered sympathy and signed the Book of Condolences.
Yeah, the only other countries that expressed condolences was, so the company that Ireland was placed in was the Salazar from Portugal and Franco from Spain, who expressed they were all very sad. De Valera's own justification was remarkable. In a private note to Ireland's envoy to the US, he said it would have been an act of unpardonable discourtesy to the German nation. Now, you can imagine that the reaction worldwide was extraordinary. The Washington Post ran an editorial entitled Moral Myopia, and one letter to De Valera asked, have you seen the pictures of the victims in German concentration camps? Have you seen the crematoriums? Have you seen the bodies of little children murdered by Nazis? The British Union of Fascists, by the way, was delighted, and said that Hitler, of course, they were delighted and they had deep appreciation for De Valera, and they said that obviously Hitler was the greatest German in history. So with friends like that.
So that was Ireland in the dark days of 1945.
When everybody knew better, when everybody really knew.
Yes.
So we are capable, Ireland is capable of insanity, so we're just hoping that doesn't happen.
Well, fast forward, you could argue, right, that that it wasn't as widely known, the Holocaust wasn't this, it was 1945. Perhaps it hadn't seen.
Then why did no other Western democracy send condolences?
Because they're not savages. That's why.
Correct.
But let's give De Valera.
I wouldn't give him anything. No.
Okay.
No.
For the sake of.
But flashing forward, into the modern times, when you can think maybe, as Phelim says, maybe the news came to Ireland on horse and carriages in the 40s.
Yes.
It didn't, though. However, but anyway, flash forward. And there is a consistency, and there is, unfortunately, a pattern here that is very recognizable. And I think just one event, there's so many events that we can put together here, but at Ireland's Holocaust Remembrance Day ceremony in January 2025,
President Higgins, the Irish president, used the Holocaust Remembrance Day speech to do what?
to criticize Israel.
Yeah, that's all, that's it.
And one of the people at that event, a Jewish person at that event, chose to quietly
stand up
and turn her back. Here's what happened to her. Okay, and actually she was then questioned. She gave an interview to somebody outside of the event, and here's what she said in her own words about how she felt about what happened.
So what happened here after Michael D. Higgins said a lot of comments that are very hurtful and dismissive to our experience. One of them was that anti-Semitism in Ireland is a PR stunt by the Israeli embassy. We're just asked repeatedly, what does he do here in this commemoration event, which is the only way publicly mourn about the Holocaust and only way to gather as Jews nowadays in Ireland. Peaceful way to protest with Michael D. Higgins and his comments. The only thing we were able to find is just to get up, to turn our backs closer to his finishing the speech, and only if he says something that is offended to us. What he said that was offended to us about the Israeli state and what is happening here. I'm not supportive of anything. I would have wanted to see the war ended 13 months before and all the hostages back. This is not the case. I'm not responsible to that. None of my Israeli and Jewish friends are responsible to that.
So that's, official Ireland. This is official Ireland.
And by the way, I think it's worth saying, by the way, about President Higgins, because he distinguished himself on many occasions, by the way, not just on this one. He also decided that at the most recent, I think, Iranian leader who rose to prominence, let's say, and I'm sure in an election that had no question marks over it at all.
Yes, no, we're not talking about the leader who was appointed after the recent assassination.
No.
We're talking about the election, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. He took time out of his busy schedule, President Higgins, and kind of in a similar vein, by the way, to De Valera. Very much so.
And wrote and said that he really wished all the very best to the Iranian leader, and in all of his success in all of his endeavours, those endeavours including what, Phelim, actually murdering protesters, I suppose, would be one of them.
Taking women off the street for addressing them modestly and executing them.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
I felt I should really quote from the letter here because, President Higgins, in August 2024, he sent best wishes to Iran's new president, may God rest his soul, President Masoud Pezeshkian, which included hopes for peace and mentions Iran's crucial role. But his best wishes to the guy, and if in your endeavours, I love the endeavours bit. Yes, it's wonderful. But that's President Higgins, who has a very much ceremonial role actually in the Irish system. Then you've got the actual government minister, Simon Harris, who they've got this weird revolving prime minister thing. So he's occasionally prime minister, then he's senior minister for foreign affairs. During a speech at his party's annual meeting, he stated that Irish people are repulsed by Benjamin Netanyahu's actions. The following month in the parliament, he also described the genocidal activity of the Netanyahu government and the genociding we're all witnessing, and described Israel's actions as an act of evil. An act of evil, Yeah. This is against a country that was at peace, in an area that was at peace on October the 6th. That's right. That's a very good point, because we interviewed the people in Israel, and the first question we asked them was not, how was your day on October 7th? Yeah, I'd love to ask Simon Harris, by the way, who's never had a job, what does he think which is the appropriate action if you are attacked by a force who say that they want your annihilation, is the actual word. That's what they want. They want you dead. Yeah. What are you supposed to do? I suppose really Simon Harris thinks you're meant to lie down. Lie down and take it. So the Electric Picnic, which is Ireland's biggest music festival, has 70,000 people. There were 5,000 people at the Nova Festival. I think 250 of them were murdered. Yes. Right? So I had done an extrapolation on that. The Electric Picnic is 70,000. If there was if Britain invaded, or Northern Ireland Protestants, by the way, came down, UVF or UDA terrorists came down and attacked the Electric Picnic,
which is a kind of a musical festival,
for young people. And they did a similar massacre just at the festival, by the way, just at the festival. That would be 3,500
young people,
innocent men, women, and children
in Ireland
murdered.
Yeah,
right. That's just the festival. That's not including.
I wonder what Simon Harris would have to say about that. Oh, and if that same group then went on to kill.
Yes, and the equivalent. I don't know what the equivalent of 1,200 in Israel. There's a smaller population in Ireland, but that is what we're looking at, Simon Harris. And then what did the Irish government do? Also, the Irish government really recognising the Palestinian terrorism
in the wake, by the way, of October 7th. So the timing is a disaster. So a few months after October 7th,
they recognised the state of Palestine. Yeah,
and I just wanted to say one thing about Simon Harris, accusing Netanyahu and the Israelis of genocide. And I make this joke, and I think my Jewish friends, would appreciate me do it. I know enough Jewish people to know that I can get away with this. The Jews might be really good at a lot of stuff.
Yes,
they're really bad at genocide because they have the equipment, they have all the stuff. They could have just wiped everyone out in Gaza like that in a day. It's not a huge space. They could have just annihilated people in the same way that the Hamas wants to annihilate them. They could have done it, so they didn't do it. You need to get back to your understanding of what genocide is.
The Irish government have a solution for that, huh?
I know what their solution is.
Yes,
let's redefine what a genocide is.
Yes, in 2024. Micheál Martin,
who's the Taoiseach, which is the vice president.
No, he was Taoiseach then. He was vice prime minister then.
Yes.
Now he's the prime minister, isn't he? Because they keep switching.
But in 2024, he was the vice president of Ireland, or the vice prime minister.
He asked the International Court of Justice to broaden its interpretation of what constitutes the commission of genocide by a state, so that Israel could be accused of committing genocide, as the current international law definition does not allow this.
So he nothing about the Chinese with the Uyghurs, nothing about, no other, just nothing about Iran, by the way.
No,
just Israel. It always has to be just Israel. And then Ireland, by the way, became the only EU country without an Israeli embassy. That was after Israel decided to close its embassy in Dublin in response to the extreme anti-Israel policies.
As that farmer from Tyrone used to say, eventually everyone gets tired of getting hit in the head with a hammer.
Correct. That's correct.
I think the Israelis just goes, why bother? And then...
So just to put the next one to look at, by the way, just to remember, there's a tiny population of Jews in Ireland. I think it's like 2,500, 3,000, really tiny population. But people need to also remember there's a tiny population of Jews in the world, very, very small population of Jews in the whole world. But they get an outsized amount of hatred. So in this tiny population of Jews in Ireland, most of them are concentrated in Dublin, and most of them are concentrated in a similar area of Dublin. And years ago, it was decided that there would be this little tiny park called Herzog Park in memory of President Herzog, who was one of the presidents of
Herzog.
Chaim Herzog, who happened to have been born in Ireland.
Yes.
So the small little park, no one's ever noticed about it.
In the Jewish area.
It's been going on forever. The next thing, out of the middle of nowhere, number of politicians in Ireland decide, you know what we want to do? We want to take away the name Herzog off the park.
Chaim Herzog, born in Ireland, became the president of Israel. He was an Israeli hero. He joined the British Army. He liberated Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. So then Dublin City Council decided that we could not have a park named after a Jewish person.
A Jewish person, basically.
Let's be realistic about it. And they had a debate about it. And
so it's actually what's really good about this is it was televised. The debate about this was televised, and you'd love to think that there would have been a preponderance of people saying, "This is, my God, this is terrible." This is all, again, it's really important to understand that this is in the context. This is in the wake of October 7th. Yeah. This is after October 7th. But in Ireland, no bother. What did they say, Phelim?
Well, we have, let's go for Councillor Conor Reddy. Any state involved in genocide, ethnic cleansing or apartheid has no right to exist. I'll let him say it for himself, actually. Off you go there, Conor.
It was that any state that is involved in genocide, ethnic cleansing or apartheid has no right to exist in a civilised world.
And then there was a whole campaign Actually, what happened was they weren't able to change it because they didn't go through the technical.
Oh, yeah, there was some. It wasn't that there wasn't the will to do it.
Yes.
The problem was that they hadn't ticked all the boxes that you need in order to change the name.
Because it wasn't their incompetence; it was a Jewish conspiracy. Let's hear one of the Pat Dunn, that genius, Councillor Pat Dunn. By the way, it's Dublin City Council. It's not like Ballygo Backwards urban borough council of 4 people.
Rural backwater.
Yes, and by the way, that's probably an insult.
That's an insult to every rural backwater everywhere.
Yes. So let's hear Councillor Pat Dunn. Obviously, it's the British Israeli intelligence is behind all this.
I'm further convinced that whatever phone calls was made to our CEO and to other officials probably emanated from Israeli intelligence forces attached to the Israeli Defence Force, because they're active. They're active in every issue that comes up in relation to Palestine. And trace it all the way back, Richard, and you'll find that's the source.
And if you thought that was mad, Ireland's politicians are under the control of Israel, apparently. Let's Kieran Perry, let's hear. Take it away there, Kieran.
This disgraceful intervention from Micheál Martin and other, the Taoiseach, the Taoiseach and other senior ministers, I would classify that as amounting to political interference in the business of a local authority. The optics would appear to show these senior Irish politicians carrying out the instructions of the Israeli lobby, and it's very hard to argue with that view when we see the actual result.
And then we got Kieran O'Meara. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name there, Kieran. He knows all about I.M. Herzog's military record, because he was in charge of soldiers who apparently did all sorts of bad things. I don't know how Kieran knows this, but of course you can never go wrong slandering the Jews in Ireland, apparently.
Not somebody like Herzog, who commanded soldiers who raped, murdered and pillaged innocent civilians. We have people like Lindsey Graham browbeating DCC over this. Lindsey Graham, who suggested Israel should drop a nuclear bomb on Gaza, who said they should do to Gaza what America did to Hiroshima. This was a full court press by the Zionist lobby, and they think they will win it. They will not win this.
And then we're getting to your favourite now, Anne. Your moment of mourning, the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yes. Oh no, I thought so you're finished with the Dublin Council then.
Yes. Oh yeah. So we're finished with the Dublin Council. So that's by the way, there's plenty more videos where that came from. But look, you can check them out on our Substack stories.io. But that's the political level, also at the state level. And we'll go to one of your favourite topics.
One of my favourite topics, the Eurovision. So Eurovision, in Europe, there's this thing called the Eurovision Song Contest, and it's kind of a joke, by the way. But people love it. And for years, people watch it, and it's kind of, who's going to win and all of that. And it's been fun, and it's been silly and lovely and delightful and entertaining. But it's changed now in the wake of October 7th. Believe it or not, in the wake of October 7th, because Israel is one of the countries that performs and that competes in the Eurovision Song Contest. And in the wake of October 7th, Ireland had a real problem with Israel being allowed to even compete.
Yes.
And did basically everything it could to make sure that they weren't in. But there's a couple of interesting things that happened here. There was huge hostility, by the way, shown to the Israeli contestant. And the girl who sang, the two songs that were sung after October 7th in 2024 and in 2025 are absolutely magnificent. We're going to play a little of both of them at one point today during the podcast. But kind of an extraordinary thing that happened, really amazing. So in Europe, when they're doing the voting for these songs,
each country votes for the other countries.
Each country, you vote, everyone votes for everyone else, whatever. But there are two different juries. So there's the popular jury, which allows people from the public to just phone up and vote. And then there is the elite jury of kind of artists or whatever. The elite jury from Ireland, I think, gave either nothing or basically nothing in terms of voting to the Israeli singers in both cases.
Yes.
However, the public gave the second highest amount of voting they could give.
Yes, the public liked the Israeli song and liked Israel, and the elites said no.
And I think it's worth, and just indulge me for a minute, just to give you an idea, because we're going to play a little bit of the song from 2024. And you can imagine the emotion that was, and the song from Israel was called Hurricane. And I want to play a little bit of that, just a tiny bit of that we won't get caught up in some kind of copyright thing. Let's listen to a little bit of that, but we'll put a link in the show notes for people who want to hear it. It's an incredible song. And then after that, I'm going to contrast that with the song that Ireland had in the competition.
I'm still broken from this hurricane.
The next year, the person singing the song was a survivor of the Nova massacre.
Yes.
So that's the kind of quality that the Israelis had. But that song, an amazing song. I use it a lot on Instagram when I'm talking about the October 7th place.
It's amazing. It's really, amazing. Really powerful.
But let's see. But it's
interesting to contrast it with what Ireland's entry was in 2024. The name of the singer was a they, apparently. Bambi Sugg. Bambi, you heard that correctly.
Yes.
Bambi Sugg, a non-binary Irish singer who, by the way, up until the very moment that she, by the way, appeared on stage, she had these letters on her body where she wanted to protest Palestine. Yeah. She wanted to protest Israel. But let's have a listen and a look at just a little bit of the Bambi Sugg song, and you can contrast that to the song that you heard previously.
I think my ears are hurting. My brain is hurting.
And your brain is hurting. No, it's absolutely extraordinary. But so then, and then flash forward to this year's Eurovision Song Contest, which hasn't happened just yet.
Well, I think Ireland kept pressurising. Ireland wanted an inquiry into vote rigging. That was very funny. They wanted a kind of, why is Israel getting such great remarks from the Irish public? And
yes,
because
we can't have that kind of thing.
Can't have that. So
no. Because it really badly showed up the elite jury in Ireland.
That's right.
Who basically gave, little to no vote. Because basically the elite jury in Ireland voted politically.
Yes, right.
Rather than in terms of music. I think you can see what I mean by that. I want you to hear a little of the song from Israel from 2025. And actually that sets up the next thing that I want to say. Just listen to a little bit of this. And this incredible singer, Yuval, she survived
Nova.
She survived the Nova party. So flash forward to 2026 and Ireland are still incensed that Israel was allowed to compete, and they're really whining. And it got to a stage where, you know what they decided to do? They decided if Israel is in the competition, we're not going to be in the competition. So this is where Ireland's at right now.
Yeah.
So Ireland is not going to be in the Eurovision Song Contest. What a huge loss to music everywhere.
Well, it's a huge loss to Irish culture, actually.
No, that's terrible. And people, Irish people really do enjoy
they
the
loved
Eurovision.
It was a real cultural moment, the Eurovision. Yeah. People will watch. It's a reminder of home. It's very sad. And
when you think of the context of it, it's absolutely extraordinary. Particularly when you'd had Yuval singing in 2025 and singing about surviving what she had survived.
It was kind of like the Irish Super Bowl. Families would watch it. It was an event.
Exactly.
that Irish people really loved, and people didn't take it seriously, and they took it seriously. And there was
we have more but there are more examples of this really ugly Irish anti-Semitism. I mean,
I would call what we've done so far official Ireland.
Yes.
Anti-Semitism, or then there's the street level anti-Semitism, which is less. And there's so many of them. There was a recent report from the Jewish Council of Ireland. They said there was several hundred incidents of anti-Semitism, kids in classrooms, saying you're fit for the gas chamber. We can't stand over any of those. We haven't, journalistically, so we can report the Irish Jewish Council as having said it. But however, the things we can stand over, some of them we've broken ourselves, stories we've broken ourselves. Like this is one that was widely known, widely reported.
March 2025.
In Dunleary, Dublin. An Israeli man was harassed and spat on in a bar by two women. and no one intervened. Israeli businessman Tamir Ohayon was sitting at a table in Hardy's bar. The women accused him of, they stalked him, by the way, through social media.
Yep.
They accused him of being an Israeli soldier and yelled phrases like Zionists are not welcome in Ireland and called him the son of a whore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a photograph, by the way. We're just putting up a photograph there from the newspapers
Let's watch
of
the
these
video.
two women.
Let's watch the
video.
They spat on him.
My better side. You can take a video all you want. Okay. You're not welcome in Ireland. Zionists are not welcome in Ireland.
Yes, I'm
Israel is on its way out. Believe me, Israel is on its way out. And you're not.
I love you too. I hope. Did you just spit on me?
I did.
Okay.
And I actually did not miss.
Can you call the police, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Because this was an attack.
Yeah, like I got spit on.
Oh, I wish I kept recording this. Oh no, I'm in fact.
Why do you keep recording me, this lady? Like you can be very quiet.
By the way, this is in a quite a nice hotel in Dunleary, quite a nice place, And this guy was over, by the way, in Ireland doing business.
Yes.
Just a hateful incident, and unfortunately, it is not isolated.
Yes.
We also had that case, and this one was in November 2024, of an American Jewish student who was wearing a Star of David necklace, and he was beaten up in a nightclub in Dublin after he was asked by, I think, 3 men. Yeah, 3 men assaulted him. They asked him, "Are you Jewish?" And he said he was.
This is in Camden Street, like where we used to have a house around the corner from there.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
And then do you remember this story? I'm just saying to the people if they remember this story. Leo, we interviewed him. He was attacked on a bus after helping a man pay his fare. He was a bit drunk. When the guy realized he was Jewish, started calling him a dirty Jew, a genocidal Jew.
Yeah, and by the way, where did that man on the bus get the phrase genocidal Jew from? He got it from Simon Harris.
Yes, and just, this is Ireland. So in most parts of the world, people would intervene. Little old ladies would intervene and say, you got to stop this. In Ireland, the little old lady intervened and joined in the abuse.
And it's not just there, but also in the town that I'm from in Ireland.
Actually, we should play the clip of some of that abuse.
And in 2024, in the town that I'm from in Ireland, we found this sign up in a local pub. All Zionists are barred from the Celtic Marine Bar. Stop the genocide, free Palestine.
Yeah, this is Irish pubs. People say to you, what should we do in Ireland? And the answer is always, hang out in pubs.
No, they're very nice. They're all very nice. It's all very nice.
Yes.
The big welcome for the foreigner. Not really.
Not really. Not if you're Jewish. By the way, we should add that sign is down now. I don't know. I think maybe the licensing people said,
I'd like to think so.
We don't know. The sign is down. My personal favorite, actually. I know it's wrong to have a personal favorite of
anti-Semitism in Ireland.
People will understand. They cancelled the 4th of July parade in Kerry, in a tourist town in Kerry, because a lot of Americans go to Kerry for the golf and all that, because somehow America is associated with Israel. This is well before the current war, right, where they're attacking Iran together. So America is somehow associated with Israel, so therefore they're going to cancel the 4th of July parade. Talk about cutting off your nose to spite your fist. Then you've got the football, the soccer, as you Americans call it. So there's this new competition in Europe called the Nations League, where European countries play each other, or Europe is a malleable, the UEFA countries, and Ireland was drawn against Israel. The pressure to boycott the match and the pressure not to have an Israeli football team, soccer team in Ireland, and no Israeli supporters and all this. Every politician, every football club, ban it, bar it. Look, so from the highest level to the lowest level.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And that is why Ireland has a reputation for being the most anti-Semitic country in Europe. Now, we're not saying it is or it isn't, although the headlines are just...
They're not good.
They're not good.
So please help us get the play to Ireland, and you can donate to the Unreported Story Society. Please do. And as I said, all donations will be doubled. Before we come to an end, there's two things I want to do. First of all, I know a lot of people like my crazy headlines. And the crazy headline this week, I'm just going to give you one from the Telegraph, the Daily Telegraph in the UK. Elizabeth I will be transgender in ITV drama. The ITV series, far from being a historical account, will be a reimagining of the monarch's life. And some of you will notice that a lot of the crazy headlines that seem to be, that I'm finding, are actually to do with the trans thing. But that all makes sense to me. But I want to, before we finish, I just need to do this because it's really important. A lot of people reacted very, very kindly to last week's podcast where we had Marjorie Daniel-Fensler on. And we got some amazing
Marjorie is
response.
the president of the Susan B. Anthony pro-life organization and one of the leaders of the pro-life movement in America, and a great woman to boot.
One of our dear friends, a friend of this podcast and a friend of ours for a long time, Jerry, wrote and said, "Thanks for another great podcast. I was prescribed misoprostol after it was determined I had miscarried my baby very early in my pregnancy. I took it not knowing how violent the experience would be. When I looked up the drug to see if what I was going through was normal, I discovered several sites where it was being sold without prescription for abortions. This is about 14 years ago. I agree that we need to spread awareness about these abortion drugs. They are incredibly dangerous." And here's another one. I mean, I could go on, and people should look at these comments because they're amazing. "I had an abortion in my early 20s and spent years pretending I was fine because everyone around me insisted that was the strong, modern way to handle it. You read that woman's words from the Irish case, especially, 'My baby was real to me.' I was told to talk about choice, not grief. I was told to move on, not mourn. So when Marjorie talked about the horror in the bathroom and the lie around the abortion pill being simple and clean, I knew exactly what she meant. A lot of advocacy needs a good dose of compassion for women like us." Another person, I'll just do one more. "Marjorie was awesome. That quote about Christ carrying her when she could not carry herself. I've heard versions of that sentence from women in private prayer groups. So glad you didn't cut it in the episode. There are women out there who need to hear that exact thing this week." But that was obviously in Easter week, by the way.
I mean, listen, I know you want to, we should read them all. I do not think enough people understand the emotional damage done by selling women the idea that abortion should feel clean, empowering, and uncomplicated. When reality does not match the script, they often assume the problem is them. That is why the quote you read mattered so much. It gave language to loss instead of pretending there's nothing to lose. As someone who I thought was very progressive once said to me, when I told him we were doing the Gosnell story, it was that guy in Pennsylvania who you met one time. He worked for an oil and gas company, and you think those oil and gas companies are they're all very progressive,
very
libertarian, cool. Actually,
very much so.
And he says, yeah, you need to do that. He says, and this guy's really cool. He says, women need to know, they need to be told that an abortion clinic is not a TARDIS. It's not a time machine. You don't go in there and come out never having been pregnant. You go in there with a baby and you come out without one. That is.
I'll end with this last one, by the way, because I think you'd like this one, Phelim. Anna Phelim, the chemistry between the two of you is wonderful. I love that you make me laugh. Although this episode had some rough moments, and that's for sure. I sometimes skip the abortion episodes depending on how bad my day has been. I really understand that.
I've heard that. We hear that a lot, by the way. And, I was very aware of the last, these Gosnell episodes are tough.
Yeah, that's very tough. Yeah.
And
for more people than people realize, I think that's one of the things that we learned very quickly when we started doing this work, is that of course it's everywhere. We've come to the end of this episode. Yeah. Please, if you can, please donate to help us bring the play to Ireland. We will keep you posted if there's any developments as they happen. And for anyone, it just occurred to me, because a lot of Phelim kept saying that we sent out a letter to our supporters and that's how the story got leaked. Some of you are thinking, I wish I got the letter. So if you haven't signed up, please subscribe at the Unreported Story Society. Then you'll get all the updates as things happen with us, because we will send out messages as soon as we have news about Ireland and about anything else. So thank you so much and see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.